Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into my official NFL Week number 9 Top 10 Best Bets, where I go through my 10 best bets here into Week 9. Beginning with number 10, it is the Rams once again in that 1 o'clock time window, traveling to Green Bay. Green Bay sitting at 2-5. Jordan Love not looking good, but I am going in on the Packers, believe it or not. Minus the 3 in this one. I think they're due for a cover. They still do have a very solid defense. They're going to be at home. Lambeau Field, the crowd's going to be behind them. Probably a little bit colder for this game. Maybe temperatures into the 40. You're talking about an LA team not wanting to play in the cold. And you're also talking about the injury to Matt Stafford, the veteran QB possibly not playing in this one. I do find good value on the Packers. I think if Matt Stafford doesn't play, you're talking about the Packers getting juiced to minus. Actually, you know what? Maybe that line is already set because it says, Green Bay minus 3, and then it gives the Rams a 58% chance to win. That would signal that they've already adjusted the line based on Matthew Stafford possibly not playing. But I still do like Green Bay. I understand the trend is not good for the Packers, but this is the NFL. Teams always break trends. They haven't been covering. They will start covering there. Moving on to number 9, it is the massive NFC matchup, Dallas traveling to Philadelphia, the 425 game, and it is a steep number, 48.5, but I do like the over, and it's very simple. You get a 27-24 game, the over, wouldn't say easily hits, but definitely hits. I also like Dallas on the money line in this game, or plus the 3 if you want to value play it. But yeah, the over in this game with what Jalen Hurts has been doing recently, the breakout performance in Washington, the Cowboys, Dak Prescott, amazing performance at home against the Rams. Think about this for a second. Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, possibly the 2 best QB performances last week. Both of them are franchise quarterbacks. Both of them are facing off, and we don't even have an over-under into the 50s. That's amazing value to the over in this one. All the models say the over. We will take that. The 48.5 there. Moving on to number 8, it is the Giants traveling to Vegas to take on the Raiders, and I know what you're thinking. Who would bet on the Raiders at this point? It's ridiculous, but with Daniel Jones still injured, Tyrod Taylor, who knows what's happening there. The Giants literally threw for -7 passing yards last week if you adjust it to include sacks. I will take the Raiders here to cover the 2.5. Devontae Adams, we know how these receivers are. They get angry, and then they get the ball. I think he has 120 yards and a touchdown in this game. Josh Jacobs maybe with a touchdown as well. The Raiders still do have talent. Max Crosby, possibly a strip sack. They have players on this roster. They can beat a bad Giants team at home. And firing Josh McDaniels, beautiful move. That sets the whole narrative. That's going to light a fire under them. They're going to change their season. They're still just 3-5. They're facing a bad team. They can go to 4-5, get near 500. Guys, the narrative is there. The script is already written. We just have to predict it and let it play out. And that's what's going to happen in Vegas with them winning that game there. Moving on to number 7, it is Indianapolis traveling to Carolina. A lot of AFC versus NFC games. This is kind of a strange 4:05 start time, but I do like Carolina in this matchup. I said before last week when Carolina was 0-6, they're not going to finish winless. This is not a horrible team. They're going to win 5 or 6 games, I think, and this is another one where you're facing a backup quarterback. I understand Gardner Minshew is solid, but you're at home. I see value in them plus the 2.5 winning this game outright. Bryce Young, it's a learning curve. We understand he's small in stature, but still, he's the number 1 overall pick for a reason. He had an amazing pedigree at Alabama. This is what happens with young QBs. Not everyone can be CJ Stroud. It takes time to learn. It's a learning curve, and he's going through that. He's got a very nice connection with Adam Thielen. They've got a solid defense, especially in a home spot against an Indianapolis team that really has struggled recently, especially last week. They're sitting at 3-5. Anthony Richardson, of course, out for the year there. Moving on to number 6, it is Seattle traveling to Baltimore. This is the big game in the 1 o'clock window, and I have to go with it. Now, this is a random one for sure, but I look at both of these offenses, and I look at an over-under at 43. Call me crazy, but I find value in the over there. I really do. I'm getting like a shootout vibe to this 1 o'clock game, a really nice, maybe a Justin Tucker walk-off field goal. I like Seattle plus the 5.5, but I really do like the over in this game. Lamar Jackson, Geno Smith, Seattle, they score 24 points against the Browns. That's pretty solid because the Browns have one of the best defenses in the NFL, and they do have weapons with DK Metcalf, JSN, the young rookie receiver, Tyler Lockett, Kenneth Walker, and then you're talking about a Baltimore team who's been really good on offense, Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers emerging as a young rookie there. So yeah, I just think this number should probably be around 45 or 46. It's not amazing value, but I just kind of feel that this game's going to be more of a shootout in my opinion. Moving on to number 5, it is the Vikings traveling to Atlanta. So I am going to go in on Atlanta minus the 5. Maybe the under is a better play in this one. I'm not exactly sure what the over-under is. It's probably into the 30s based on the fact that Minnesota, I understand they traded for Josh Dobbs. The Josh Dobbs thing is really weird to me because when they traded for him, I don't know if Josh Dobbs has like a cult fan following or something, but people were acting like Josh Dobbs was this, superstar franchise QB. Josh Dobbs was horrible the last 3 games he started for Arizona. I understand he's going to a better situation, but this is a spot where I'm not even sure Josh Dobbs is going to start considering the short notice. If it is their backup Hall, the young rookie from BYU, I just see great value in Atlanta. And this is one where you just close your eyes and you pick Atlanta minus 5 because Desmond Ridder is bad, but you hope because of the Minnesota quarterback situation, Atlanta is able to generate turnovers, short fields, maybe, Kyle Pitts gets into the end zone once in a blue moon, Drake London does something. More than likely, the reliance is going to be on Bijan Robinson in that running game, and I do think they cover the minus 5 because Minnesota has such a terrible situation with their quarterback. Moving on to number 4, it is Chicago traveling to New Orleans. So this is another simple one. I do not like when it's minus 7.5. That is not a fun number to bet, but I will still go in on New Orleans. Their offense kind of was resurrected last week in Indianapolis. Now they're at home against the Chicago team, and if Chicago was starting Justin Fields, certainly it would be great value here, Chicago on the money line. But without Justin Fields, this team, they're terrible. It is what it is. I know they beat the Raiders, but give me a break. Last week we had the over in the Bears game, and I was hoping Justin Fields would play. He ends up not playing, and the backup QB that everyone loves and thinks is better than Justin Fields only scores 13 points. It's disgusting. We need to see Justin Fields back out there. When Justin Fields doesn't play, they're just not going to score. I mean, they may only score 10 points against a very good New Orleans defense who's going to be in the Superdome. They're going to be ready for this game, and they're 4-4. This is a huge game for them. They need to make sure they win these games. I will say, again, minus 7.5, not a fun number, but I still think they cover it. Fade bad quarterbacks. It's very simple. Fade bad quarterbacks. Moving on to number 3, it is the Monday night game. It is the Chargers traveling to the Jets. Fade bad quarterbacks. Zach Wilson against Justin Herbert. I understand the whole narrative, the whole idea. The Chargers, kind of a finesse team, traveling into a cold environment in East Rutherford, New Jersey, but I do like them minus the 3 here. They're sitting 3-4. The Jets are 4-3, based entirely on their defense. This is a correction game. I do not see the Chargers falling back to 3-5. They will win this game and improve to 4-4, and the Jets will fall to 4-4. I think the Chargers cover in this one. They found their footing last week at home against Chicago. Now they're going on the road. They've got such a huge QB advantage in this one. With Herbert against Wilson, I will take them minus the 3 there. Moving on to number 2, it is Arizona traveling to Cleveland in a weird 1 o'clock game. It's probably going to be around 40, 45 degrees, getting a little chilly there. Arizona is going to be completely miserable in this one. I would go in on the Browns because that line is dropped, I think, to minus 7.5. So I would like the Browns minus 7.5, but I like the under 37.5 even more, especially with the Browns situation. Deshaun Watson, there's the idea maybe he'll miss 3 to 4 weeks. He's probably out. PJ Walker, he has been decent, but this is a game where PJ Walker is just going to have to ball control. He's barely going to throw, and they're going to ball control this game to death and win it and improve to 5-3. And then the Cardinals, they're going to freeze in this cold climate. Will they start Kyler Murray? I highly doubt it. They're not going to want to start Kyler Murray outdoors. As soft as that sounds, I think they're probably going to hold off on starting him another week because of the environment. and they will be going with Clayton Tune, who, is a young quarterback, I believe, from Houston. We'll see. But the Browns defense against a young QB who's like a fourth round pick with very limited pedigree. It's such a great value to go in on the under 37.5 there. And then moving on to number one, this is the game of the week. It is the Bills traveling to Cincinnati, the rematch of the Monday night game that got canceled because of the injury. We are going in on the over 48.5. I do like the Bills to win this game, but this is going to be an offensive explosion. This is possibly Josh Allen's ticket to really enter the MVP conversation, maybe even Joe Burrow, although I think Joe Burrow had too bad of a beginning of the season in terms of his stats being weighed down to enter the MVP discussion. Either way, love the over. Think about the narratives we have. We have the two huge games, the 425 game, Dallas-Philadelphia, we love the over 48. This game, we love the over 48.5. The NFL, they understand their scoring is down, and they have these two huge games with four great quarterbacks. They're going to want big-time scores, and they're going to get it. And maybe even that Chiefs game against the Dolphins, which is another crazy good game. That game's in Germany. Maybe that'll go over as well. I do like Miami. That's not one of my best bets, but I'm just saying, either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on X. Link to that's always in the description.